When I first met Ms. Rivera, I saw what I expected, another young, idealistic teacher who believed kindness was a magic wand. She taught my daughter Emma's second grade class. I was the single mom, the overworked doctor, perpetually late to parent-teacher meetings, wearing my hospital scrubs and my exhaustion like a shield. That first meeting, she stood up the moment I walked in, Mrs. Hayes. Her voice was warm, like honey. Dr. Hayes, actually, I corrected a bit too sharply. Old habit. Her smile didn't even flicker. Then it's a pleasure to meet you, Dr. Hayes. Emma's wonderful, curious, bright, and a little stubborn. She paused, a playful glint in her eyes. Wonder where she gets that from. I was taken aback. No one ever teased me like that, let alone my daughter's teacher. It was disarming. Over the next few months, Ms. Rivera-Lena, as she insisted I'll call her, became more than just a character in Emma's daily reports. Emma adored her. She'd tell me how Ms. Rivera sang during art, decorated the classroom with fairy lights, and hugged every single child like they were the most important person in the world. Slowly, almost without me noticing, Elena became part of my life. She'd text me reminders about school events, send pictures of Emma's latest masterpiece, and our conversations would often drift away from school matters. We'd talk about books, about the crushing weight of stress, about the profound loneliness that settles in when your world revolves around everyone but yourself. One rainy afternoon, I was late picking Emma up. The classroom was quiet, bathed in a soft, golden glow. Elena was on the floor with Emma, building a tower of colored blocks. Their laughter filled the room, a sound so pure it quieted the chaos in my own head. When Elena looked up, her eyes met mine, gentle, dark, and full of a quiet understanding. Once Emma ran off to get her backpack, Elena's voice was soft. You work too hard, she said. I just murmured, I have to. She tilted her head slightly. Maybe. But you deserve to live to, And with those simple words, something inside me started to crack. A wall I hadn't even realized I'd built so high. After that day, our encounters started to feel less like coincidences. I'd see her at the Saturday farmers market or browsing the shelves of a bookstore near my hospital. Once, she was even at the little cafe I escaped to on my rare days off. It was always the same, that gentle smile, that teasing glint in her eyes. It felt like the universe was giving me one chance after another to just stop hiding. One evening, Emma was at a sleepover, and the house was painfully quiet. Then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Elena. Grading papers at the coffee shop. Want to join. You look like someone who could use a distraction. I have no idea what made me say yes. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was her. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. She told me about leaving home at 19 to chase her dream of teaching, and I told her about my wife, about losing her 5 years ago, a wound that was still raw, even though I'd stopped admitting it to anyone, especially myself. She didn't offer pity. She just listened, truly listened. When we finally left the cafe, the night air was cool and smelled of rain. I shivered, and without a thought, she reached for my hand. Her fingers were so warm, I didn't pull away. The moment stretched, feeling both wonderful and incredibly dangerous. She started to apologize, whispering, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, but I stopped her. Don't be. The kiss wasn't planned. It wasn't some dramatic movie scene. It was slow, hesitant, and filled with years of grief and months of a quiet longing I hadn't let myself feel. The world just fell away. It was just her breath against mine, her hands trembling as if she couldn't believe this was happening either. When we pulled apart, a laugh escaped Mia. Mix of disbelief and fear. "This is crazy," I whispered. She smiled that soft, familiar smile. "Maybe, but it feels right, doesn't it?" And it did. It felt terrifyingly, wonderfully right. The next morning at breakfast, Emma was chattering away about Ms. Rivera again. How kind she was. How she made school feel like a second home. And in that moment, I realized something profound. Love doesn't always arrive like a thunderclap. Sometimes it sneaks in quietly through a gentle voice and a kind smile. Sometimes it comes from the person who teaches your child how to dream again, and in doing so, teaches you how to love again. A few weeks later, I was in that same golden classroom, helping Elena pack up for summer break. She looked over at me, that mischievous glint back in her eyes. "So," she said, brushing a strand of hair from her face, "does this mean you're finally taking some time off work?" I stepped closer, a real smile forming on my face for what felt like the first time in years. "Maybe, if someone gives me a good reason to." She smiled back, that knowing, beautiful smile that had started it all. Challenge accepted. And standing there with the promise of summer and something more in the air. I actually believed her. Thank you so much for joining me for this story. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content. See you next time.